Howdy. Welcome to the It's All Subjective live stream. It is currently 12:53 a.m. here in dark and cloudy California. So here's the deal. This story, which broke a few hours ago, was so absolutely terrifying. I mean, and let me first put this into perspective here. I worked for a school district for approximately 2 years. I sat through multiple board meetings on a monthly basis from beginning to end. I've seen a lot of crazy things in my time. A lot. Things that I'm not even sure I'm able to talk about. But this has to be, without a doubt, the absolute craziest story I think I have ever read about an incident in a school. I'm going to first show where I saw this. It was on Twitter. This thread. Two teachers at a California school reportedly coached a 12-year-old girl, or boy, it doesn't say, into a trans identity behind her parents' back. The school also changed her name and pronouns without informing the parents. The mother spoke at the meeting. I will get to that. The father, I believe, also spoke. So this is wild. The school reportedly called the parents in for a meeting where they were informed that their daughter is trans. So it was a girl. The teacher then proceeded to call Child Protective Services on the parents when they didn't use the correct name and pronouns. So they changed the name and pronouns of the kid without the parents' knowledge or permission, then called Child Protective Services on the parents because they didn't agree with their decision. In middle school teachers made this decision. Probably the craziest thing that I think I've ever seen in a school board meeting. And I follow school board meetings even after, let's say, retiring from my position. I still follow board meetings, both here where I live and local districts, because some really interesting things happen. This is one of them. This is going to blow up in a lot of people's faces. It says that the teachers coaxed her to join an equality club, which was really a disguise for the GSA club, Gay Straight Alliance. These teachers were recorded at an event in November, bragging about how they used the name of the LGBT club so they can indoctrinate kids without any obstacles. So I believe it was from this. Okay. So a leaked audio recording reveals two teachers at a recent California Teachers Association conference mocking parents over their concerns about homosexual and transgender indoctrination at schools, says a source who attended the event in Palm Springs, California. The recording, obtained by the Epic Times, captured two 7th grade teachers. These are the same teachers that are in this story. The same two teachers, 7th grade, employed by Buena Vista Middle School in Salinas, California, telling other teachers how to recruit students into the LGBTQ clubs. Where's the continuation? Jessica Conan has alleged that the school staff indoctrinated her then 12-year-old daughter in a LGBTQ club disguised as an equality club. 2 teachers were recorded coaching other teachers to conceal the nature of the clubs from parents at a sold-out California Teachers Association conference. The teachers led a workshop called How do we run a GSA club in conservative communities, and described the obstacles that they face as activist teachers to conceal the activities of the clubs from parents. The other teacher backed up the first teacher, suggesting activist teachers disguise the nature of the clubs by calling them something less obvious. She provided an example of this deception, pointing out she avoided naming her LGBTQ club a GSA. Instead, she called it the Equity Club and later changed the name to the UBU Club. Okay. So, this is nothing new for me. Coming from university campus and even in high school, I got lucky. I'd say my year got lucky. We kind of finished right at the threshold of where things really started to get bad. And after seeing this, I think we're at what I would call the height. I really don't see how it can get worse from here, but I've been wrong before when it comes to that. So yeah, the Epoch Times, Epic Times, however you say it, they leaked audio from that conference. And this was the crowd at this event. And I'm going to get into what happened here because there was something that caught my attention right off the bat, and I'll get into that in a minute. So anyway, there's materials. I'm just not going to bore with all that information. We're actually going to jump right into the, I guess you can call it the meat of the situation here. This was the board meeting. It literally happened a few hours ago. Okay.
Supporting all students.
Okay.
And especially our most vulnerable.
So let's get to where they have public communication. That is the section where parents or community members are able to speak, address the board with whatever concerns, problems, or whatever it is they may have. The board is by law not allowed to respond to them. That's why they sit here like a bunch of sheep, just staring, because they can't really say anything even if they wanted to. So let me find the mother of the girl. See. Oh, there she is. Okay. Who gave a very powerful speech about what happened, so I will play that now.
We have Jessica Conan, followed by Lisa Cisneros.
First of all, I would like to say that I am here only because I support and love my child. And kudos to you, Thomas, for coming forward and speaking on behalf of your mother, that at one point, remember, she didn't have your back. She didn't know how to sit here and understand what you were going through. She took out what she neglected on you with my child. So, good evening. My name is Jessica, and I stand here today in front of all of you because I am outraged. Is this really barely coming to light? Are you guys serious? How could you even allow this? How could you even have this meeting to question it? How dare you let these teachers come in and act as if they have nothing wrong? They've done nothing wrong. A mistake? How long of a mistake? How many mistakes are we going to take before my child almost lost her life? They didn't tell me that my child was suicidal. You allowed these teachers to open their classrooms teaching predatory information to a young child, a mindful child that doesn't even know how to comprehend it all. How do you not know what was going on your own campuses? Did you think that no parent would ever come forward? You will not quiet me today. I will stand here today and protect my child along with every other child who has not come forward yet. Do they have psychiatry degrees that I was unaware of? Because I didn't hire them. Okay, I did not hire them to sit there and nitpick my child's brain. You took away my ability to parent my child, even before I had any knowledge. I didn't even get to show support. You asked for support, I didn't get a chance. You planted seeds, Miss Caldera and Miss Baraki, Mr. Baraki and you, Miss Pagarin. Your job was to educate my child in math, science, English, etc. Do your job and let me do mine. They assumed that my child needed your aid and resources. They pushed it in the face. And tonight, I will stick up for her. Miss Caldera, you're guilty. Miss Baraki, you're guilty. You changed her personal documentation, her gender, her name, her email. I authorized an AKA added to her attendance because I wanted to be supportive. But guess what? She's allergic to bees. Her medical record says a birth name, and you changed it. Who administers that now? Not everything, not me. You guys did this on your own accountability, and you've gone too far. They downgraded me in front of my child and allowed me to question myself as a mother. You sat there and told me how my child was going to be. And then you wrapped your hands around her while I sat across the table and cried. Because you thought you could be there better than I, and I never got a chance. She was scared to even say anything. Your guys' voice were heard, not hers. If you get my drift, I keep saying you, okay? You. You have caused hardships in my family, division. I don't care. Meet me outside, then meet me outside. I'll finish.
Next. Next.
Okay, so yeah, that is something that happened. I noticed right over here, this one in particular was like shaking her head, like, oh my god, could you believe this parent? She actually thinks she can come up here and defend being the one responsible for what happens to her child? How dare she? Yeah, okay. So, I also noticed that the security guard had to immediately walk up and take her away because she was called time on. And in a board meeting, when they call time on you, it's because you have reached the maximum time you can speak. The funny thing is, they had like 30-something cards, and the most important card, the person who the incident happened to, was not able to fully explain what happened because they called time on her instead of giving her an extended time since, I don't know, she's part of the victim family. And yeah, they didn't even let her finish the sentence. Usually in a board meeting, when they call time, they give you about 10-15 second grace period to finish what you have to say. They didn't even give her that. They want her gone. And I will say good on the audience because they end up giving her a deserving standing of ovation for what she said. And you know, it's a situation where you really start to question what the heck is really going on behind the closed doors of the school. As a former student, I can say right now that most parents don't know what's going on, and they never will, because they don't think it's necessary to ask the question of what's happening. It's a school. They learn English, math, science, right? English, math, science, and teaching the child to question their identity. Yeah, it's strange, right? It's a strange mix. What a coincidence that an article that came out months and months in the past about these two exact teachers talking about how they used the club as a way to fish people in by not calling it what it is. So they changed the GSA club name to the Equality Club or whatever they call it. Something that sounds pretty, right? And I don't want to say it in a very rude way, but if you look through the entire meeting, it's a very long meeting. There are a significant amount of people that show up to speak. A lot of the people that were put here to talk were brought in by the, in my opinion, mafia-like teachers association. There were a lot of teachers that the first thing they say is, I'm a teacher, I believe in equality, and I believe that the educators that are in question are very, they are people of integrity, that they are people that have served the district for 13 years, and we don't have a right to question them. And the funny thing about that is that the same teachers that are in question, I believe, were bragging about how they have tenure and that they're untouchable. Well, that's kind of true, because all of their friends in the Teachers Association are already here to back them up. That's what they do. They show up and they back up the teachers when they are called into question, even when they are being called into question for something horrific. And this isn't the first time that I've witnessed something like this, where getting rid of a bad teacher, even for the most horrific of reasons, is not so simple or not so clean. In our high school, there was a gym teacher, and everyone knew that he was a creep. Everyone. Legit, it was something that was just, it was known throughout the students, and there's no way the staff didn't know about those rumors, but they didn't act on them until he was finally caught years after we were done, and he was caught taking pictures of underage girls and storing all those pictures on his phone. And guess what? Even with all that, they still let him go with all of his benefits. He was a criminal. He was prosecuted, and they still let him go with his benefits. They didn't even cut his benefits. It is a absolute mafia. That's how the teachers' associations work. So if you go through this meeting, that's what you really see. There's a lot of parents, and I give them credit. They came, they spoke, and they said their piece. They spoke very eloquently. They didn't attack the club for existing, which, by the way, that's another point here, that the club that this occurred in was temporarily shut down, temporarily. Just so that they know what's going on, so that if there is something bad, that it's not still happening mid-investigation. I think that's fair. These people don't. They come up and they start, literally in one lady's case, crying about the club not being available for people. One lady goes up, and I wish I can find it. She starts telling everybody how her kid was suicidal and didn't discover what his gender identity was until he was 16 or something like that, and that she thanks the teachers for letting him express himself. That sounds more like, I'm sorry, that sounds like a you problem. And I don't mean to be rude, but that really is. If your kid is suicidal and it had to take the teachers to get the kid to better understand himself, then you failed as a parent. That's your failing. You don't have to go up to the entire board and start crying about how your suicidal kid was saved by the teachers, and that you're standing on a moral high ground over everyone else, telling them whether the teachers are good and that the education they give is good. Yeah, it was good because you failed as a parent and they had to pick up your slack in that case. That's just the way that worked. But in this case, they decided to keep the parent out of the loop. They decided to change the name of the kid and the gender pronouns of the kid. 12 years old. Without the parent's permission. I'm pretty sure that's a lawsuit. Because I don't think there's a law that allows that. And they called Child Protective Services on the parents. That is a complete, obvious lawsuit. That's a failing on the part of the district. And really, all these people on the dais here, all these people, they're voting, the people that voted for them are probably not going to vote for them again if they don't get their act straight soon. Either the teachers need to be reprimanded, fired, investigated. Some people are calling this grooming, and that they're calling the teachers predators because they targeted a student and tried to push their political and whatever you want to call it, social justice identity stuff on them, identity politics. There's a lot of words for it. One person in particular was actually the kid, and she responded, that's who she was responding to at the beginning of her thing, was the kid of one of the teachers that was called into question. I wonder if I can find it, because it's so hard to find the right timestamp. I didn't have enough time to document the timestamps properly, so excuse me on that. Okay, anyway, well, it doesn't really matter. A lot of the people that go up to defend this situation use a couple of very similar buzzwords about how this is... Oh, we got a comment here. Sounds... Hold on. Okay. Sounds a lot like teachers grooming one's child. It would be interesting to know if the boy stayed a boy at 16. I think he did. I think that's what this person said. I have to find that part in the... It's such a long video. I'm trying to find that exact moment.
TA conference. Nor does it represent the realities of...
And the video's buffering. Look at that.
School. I teach at Carmel High School.
Look, this is one of the mafioso, I call them,
previously taught and was
teachers.
GSA club advisor at Salinas High School,
I believe.
where I'm happy to say I had many Buena Vista students. I'm about to read a letter that was co-signed by over a dozen Monterey County educators, many of whom are GSA club advisors, representing over half a dozen middle school and high schools in Monterey County. We are Monterey County educators committed to supporting LGBTQ+ students and allies in our schools. We teach and work with students at a variety of secondary schools, including Carmel High School, El Cesal Middle School, Rancho San Juan High School, North Salinas High School, Salinas High School, Washington Middle School, Hardin Middle School.
They can't just keep it short, can they?
From increased homelessness and housing insecurity to physical assault, harassment.
Anyway, what they talk about is, and I'm going to summarize it because I can't sit here and listen to these people as much as I'm sure you can't. That the club, they go up there and talk about how the club is important. Okay, fine. They talk about how the teachers are good people because they've been there for so long. That's their only reason. It's because they're supposedly popular and that they've been there for a long time. So that gives them immunity. Okay. And then they don't actually talk about the incident. They don't mention it. They talk about that the club is good and the teachers are good, but they don't talk about what happened. They ignore it because they can't actually talk about that part. If they talked about that part, they'd realize how stupid they sound. So they ignore it. They ignore the actual issue. A lot of them go up there and say, well, there's an incident, but I don't know what happened, and, there's an investigation, so, that we don't want to talk about it. Well, then why are you talking in the first place? Except to go up there and defend these people because they're part of your group, the Teachers Association. When I worked at a school district, the Teachers Association members were at every meeting. They would go up at every meeting and talk about how they're there. They would waste time to go up and talk about how they're there because at the end of the day, they really are the ones that run everything. It's the teachers' unions. They run the districts. That's how it works. If something happens and they don't like it, they just get all the teachers to boycott. And even the board members here, who I believe are responsible, are now set in a position where they really can't do anything one way or the other. Because if they fire the teachers, the association is going to take them down. And if they don't fire the teachers, then the parents are going to take them down. So no matter what, it's a lose-lose for them. And the room was overflowed with parents. I'm sure most of them weren't even able to speak.
And it's
I think this was the one lady that was
really disgusted me and
crying
we
on
need
the
to do
floor.
more for these students and for these teachers. Thank you. And to suspend the UBU club after an article weaponized misinformation and viciously attacked 2 of your teachers is beyond shameful. As an alumni who had these 2 exceptional teachers, I'm asking you to stand behind them and to protect them from attacks based on
stand
dangerous
behind the teachers and
misinformation.
protect them.
As a student, both in middle school and high school, under this school district, I've worked closely with Miss Caldera, and she is nothing but accepting, supportive, helpful, and great to work.
Oh, okay. So you work closely with this person. Of course you're not going to go up there and talk bad about them. Your argument is flawed already. You flawed your own argument. You're not giving any objective opinion here except that you're crying about how someone that you like is in trouble. So, it just doesn't work. These arguments don't work to me.
Have been written since
know our students or our community. She doesn't represent us, and frankly, she does not care about our students as individuals. She has an agenda. Your job as a school board and as an administration is to protect us from outside agendas. Your mission statement has been spoken and referred to already several times. I'm looking at my time tonight, but bottom line, as an academic team and community, we model and instill the core values of compassion, kindness, and respect in all of our work. Are you fulfilling your mission right now? Are you supporting the 12 core values is to promote compassion, kindness?
Time's up, Dr. Beck. Time's up.
Support the equality. Support the club. Oh, something bad happened? Well, if you investigate it, you're morally wrong. How dare you question something when a mother goes up there and explains how her child's pronouns and name were changed by teachers who called the child's protective services on them? Oh, but the equality is in danger. One incident shouldn't be enough to make the equality bad. I believe this guy, I think this guy is the son, I think, of one of those teachers.
Hello, my name is Thomas. I'm a graduate of Spreckles and Buena Vista Middle School, and I would like to comment on the administrative suspension of Lori Caldera. My name is Thomas. I am a straight, cisgendered man, and I serve no agenda. I would merely like to convey the incredible impact that Lori Caldera has had on my life in the decade that I have known her. I graduated Buena Vista Middle School in 2013, where as a teacher, she guided and encouraged my academic success and made me feel welcome during what can be a very trying and unwelcoming period of someone's life. It certainly was for me. But she has consistently shown me genuine kindness and support in the years since I was one of her students, and has proven to be more than just a teacher to me and so many others that I know. She has enabled opportunities that otherwise would be closed to me and helped teach me skills such as public speaking, adaptability, leadership, self-confidence, and so much more. She has continued to advocate for me in my pursuits beyond school and still continues to be a source of joy and humor for me today. In short, she has changed my life. Thank you.
She certainly changed somebody's life. This time without their permission.
Personally know dozens of students who have been similarly impacted by Mrs. Caldera who would be here tonight telling similar stories if they were able. In every way, she has been a mentor and a friend to me, and she has never pushed me to be anyone but my true self.
Okay, all of this has been, like, I just want to pause and say it. All of this is just filler words. Has nothing to do with the actual issue. You're there to defend the integrity of this person, but you're not willing to actually talk about what happened with the parent. That's the problem. It's all filler words. And this is the same thing that happens a lot of times in the political sphere. They don't talk about the actual issue, they just talk about how the person that's in question is a good person. Why? Because I had a good experience with them.
She is one of the most caring, compassionate, and intelligent people I know, and it would be an absolute shame to stop her from teaching and mentoring students. Thank you, and I yield my time to the chair.
I don't think this was the son, actually.
Establish
infuriated. I stepped up.
nation.
I stepped.
Salinas High.
Run with full and utmost transparency.
This guy was. This was the guy. Yep.
Would like to beat them with baseball.
Listen to the rhetoric that this guy has. I want everyone to listen to this guy's rhetoric because this is.
Good evening, Spreckles community.
Okay.
My name is Thomas Caldera Perry. I am the son of highly respected and award-winning teacher
this
Lori
is the
Caldera,
guy. This
as well
is the
as
guy.
a Buena Vista Middle School alumni. I am here to speak on behalf of my family, my mother, on the impact that these recent events have had on us. To begin, there are a great many assumptions and accusations being made as a result of a political third-party blogger with a very clear anti-LGBT agenda who's looking only to boost the sales of her discredited book. While she said,
Watch out, guys. The teacher's son is here to defend her honor. No bias here.
It's completely uncaring of the destruction she has caused. My mother and Miss Baraki continue to be victimized by targeted and hate speech due to the district's knee-jerk reaction and fear-based response.
Oh my god. The teachers are the victims. Oh no. They've changed a student's gender identity and made them question who they are. But the teachers are the real victims. Wow. What a twist, right?
Let there be no mistake here. Lori Caldera and Kelly Baraki are the victims of focused harassment due to their work on behalf of LGBT families and students. Furthermore, my mother and Miss Baraki have been effectively silenced and are unable to launch their own defense due to a variety of reasons, not the least of which are threats to their own personal safety, including those that, quote, would like to beat them with baseball bats, or another quote, shoot them dead.
So this is exactly what ends up happening, okay? A few, literally like a couple of people, because that's all he really came up with. 2 quotes from God knows who, from God knows where on their keyboard, talking about using baseball bats or shooting whoever dead, okay? Those, whoever they are then used to discredit the entirety of the argument. This happened in Norco, which is also in California, where they were advocating against the COVID mandate, the vaccine mandate. And one parent got into a verbal altercation with someone who was opposing them, all the newspapers suddenly went from what the parents were actually protesting about to that altercation. This is what they do. They take the smallest little infraction, blow it up to actually cover from the real issue. That's what this guy's doing too, and I can't blame him because he's defending his weird mother. So I can't blame him, but what the tactics that he uses are the same tactics that you see in mainstream media, where they will use the absolute negative and throw that and not actually talk about the issue itself, because God forbid we do that and people actually learn a thing or two about what happened.
These threats to their safety based on illegally obtained audio given to a blatantly
The audio was illegally obtained. Oh my God. The issue is not what they talked about. The issue is that the audio was illegally taken. Oh jeez. Oh my God. This is the pinnacle of bad arguments. The audio was illegally obtained. That's his argument. Not what they talked about. He's not concerned about the illegally obtained audio that talks about and here's the exact article from the Epic Times. How the teachers were recruiting kids into the LGBT clubs. That they laughed at the parents. So they wouldn't call it a GSA club because they wanted to disguise it so people thought it was an equality club, or they thought it was something else. So that was their method, and they literally talk about that here. Look at this. We totally stalked what they were doing on Google. So they eavesdropped on the conversations of the students and looked at their online searches and would use that to recruit 6th grade students into the clubs, whose membership rolls are kept hidden from parents. But this guy goes up here and his biggest beef is that his mother's audio was leaked.
Biased blogger are not only ridiculous, but they show a greater issue within this school district as a whole. This district and the statement released were very quick to side with the anti-LGBT claims and to throw two of the hardest work.
Catherine says, well, it is 10:30 in New Zealand. Watch in the morn. This blows my mind. These ex-students are clearly brainwashed and should feel ashamed of themselves for defending rather than protecting. Appreciate the statements. Thank you for tuning in. And hello from California.
Working and loyal teachers in the district to the hounds. No benefit of the doubt for these award-winning and popular teachers who have proven their time and time again their loyalty to their students. No support for those students who will now live in fear at their schools, a place where they will spend the majority of their young lives. All because the school district, superintendent, and principal decided to take a stance against them.
Is it just me, or this guy, the way he talks he's like the anti-Ben Shapiro. I don't know why, he just gives off that vibe, like he's trying way too hard at what he's saying.
Only words I can find to describe this situation are shameful at best. The district's cowardly statement lends credibility to a misrepresentation. It is a skill I learned at BV that was to identify the audience of a written piece and evaluate it for its source of bias. I find it shocking that none of you have the same skill. It is evident.
Oh my God, I'm out of breath from the statements. I identify the bias. My teacher, my mother is a teacher, but I'm not biased when I come up here to talk. Of course not. Why would I be biased? It's not like my close family relative is the one in question here. Because there's no way she's wrong. Right, guys? Right? My argument is that I'm related to her. Honestly, dude, you shouldn't have gone up there to talk. because this whole thing you just did just lends to the discredit of your side's argument more than anything else.
Thank you. It is evident that the author had a clear bias. It is now also evident to me that the district seems to share that bias as well. For a district to claim that it supports inclusion and equity, you have failed your first test. The article in question was not only illicitly obtained and released, but it does not paint an accurate picture of the purpose of the presentation at the CTA conference. Nor does it represent the realities of how Lori Caldera, Kelly Baraki, and the UBU Club function on the Buena Vista campus. My family fully supports this third-party investigation mentioned earlier, as we are certain it will clear up this false narrative asserted by the blogger and seemingly supported by the district. I would like to end with a question here to the school board here. How could you? You all know better. There is no violation of students' privacy. The club has always run with full and utmost transparency.
Okay, dude, you're done. All right. So, how dare we question the club? How dare we question my mother? How dare we do this? And how dare you do that? Okay. Have you noticed that he didn't actually talk about the incident? Like I was saying previously, they ignore the issue at hand, which is this. This is the issue at hand. But God forbid they talk about that, because this is not defendable. I don't care what side you're on. You can't defend this. You just can't. It's too extreme, even for a lot of people. And one person in particular that speaks here, who I give a lot of credit for going out there to talk, and I want to find her because I liked her statements a lot. And they were from a perspective that we don't really hear too much. So let me find that. I think this is her. Yeah, I remember she had a jacket with that color. Okay,
Carcano,
this is a
followed
good
by
one.
Cheryl Duffus.
Good evening. I first want to say I can't imagine growing up and being pandered the way children are nowadays. I'm part of the rainbow community, but I do not agree with it all. I don't fit in the box or narrative that you assume me to be. We have kids in high school who can barely read and write. Now at this level, this easy manipulation and propaganda is very disturbing. I'm so thankful that I grew up not being brainwashed and confused. We have kids who can barely think for themselves, and we are now telling them that they can be pansexual or whatever when they haven't even kissed anyone yet, let alone even have sex. Whether it's a boy or girl or the 80+ genders that are being made up nowadays, it's really getting out of hand, and I don't agree with it. All this pushing of the rainbow flag and trans flag and this and that or the other, you know, being proud of who you are should not be framed by teaching our kids to lie. I myself don't have any rainbow flags in my house, no decals, no shirts, nothing. But you will find the American flag in my house. Just my opinion, but I'm very proud to be an American. I already said that. Please bring back God, the Pledge of Allegiance, those things, etc. Again, I'm very thankful that I didn't grow up being easily influenced to think I'm this sexual preference or gender. I do have a same-sex partner, and that's what she is a female, because there's only two genders, a male and a female. And to Sam, I'm sorry what happened to you when you were younger, and I hope we remain friends even after this speech. Again, not all the folks that are queer think this is okay. Yeah, have a GSA club, that's fine, but don't groom children. Don't do that at all. That's not cool. So thank you for listening.
I like that speech, and not just because I agree with it, but I think she was able to articulate herself well, and she came from a very non-biased perspective. Why? Because she is a member of that community, and she found it in herself to take a position that many others wouldn't. So that earns a lot of respect. And I dare say that that was very based. I don't know if I'm using the word correctly in this case, but it was pretty based. And I think what really got to me from the entire thing was that after the parent initially, I would assume, complained about what happened, the first thing that they did was get as many teachers and staff members and community leaders as they could from the Teachers Association and the Teachers Union, packed them into the room, and had them go up one by one defending their colleague. It's frankly gross. Got a comment. Do you think he actually believes? Oh, that the guy that was before this one. I think he believes it. It's his mom, and at the end of the day, he's gonna trust family over a stranger. Especially if the family has never done anything in particular to wrong him. I would assume. Otherwise, why would he be up there? But this whole thing really falls back on the concept that there are things happening in the schools and we don't know about it, or we look the other way. I know somebody who is in the system right now. I know that they have been complaining a lot about the type of language that is used in the classroom related to politics and related to social issues, social justice issues. We currently, in my city's district, there is a debate going on about what do you call it? Critical race theory. And there have been leaked images of books that were approved for a curriculum, books with contents that were frankly so horrific that I don't think I can say them. And this whole issue is a reflection, really, of what is happening behind closed doors. The fact that teachers were able to actually change the student's name and pronouns, I believe in a legal way, in a legal documented way. That's what the mother was complaining about. That's scary. How does that even happen? Why did the teachers feel that that was their responsibility, and then the mother's crying in front of the teachers at their PT meeting, and the teachers hug the kid as though they are basically claiming ownership of the kid from the parent? Spreckles USD, you guys have some serious problems. I really mean that. You guys have some serious, disgusting behind-the-scenes problems, and I'm pretty confident that the parent group that was here, a lot of good, well-meaning parents, I think they're going to be able to hold these people and the teachers accountable for what happened. Just in the same way that Norco Corona School District was able to petition and sign a recall for one of the board members because he basically said in front of everybody that he teaches critical race theory in his university classes, and he was defending what it is and what it means. The parents didn't like that. They signed a recall. You know, that's the way the process works. And that's the way the process is supposed to work. They did it exactly the way that they're supposed to. I have a feeling that's going to happen here too. Now that this is viral. As of 9:49, it is now 1:42. Couple hours. Oh, no, okay. That was weird. We had a little lag spike there. Look, let's see what some people wrote, yeah? They should be in jail. Public schools need to go. Got out in the nick of time, 1991 to 2004. Unreal, so your child has a completely new made-up identity in school, and the school decides that the family is better not to be informed of this. Jail. Homeschool. This is what happens in a weak society. Absolute insanity. I was there tonight. Homeschool. This is madness. Ooh, if a teacher did this to my kid, they would be eating through a feeding tube for the rest of their life. That's harsh. Disgusted. California. Yeah, it is a California. Look at this one. Look at this one. They got ratioed. I mean, schools are for education, even if it's information that the parents don't agree with. LOL. Indoctrination into a cult is not education. And really, I guess this is my... You want to call it a conclusion, you can. You can call it final thoughts, you can. It really doesn't matter to me. But having worked in the school district, in not this one, but in the same state, and I'm trying to say this in the least legally questionable way as possible. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, behind closed doors, behind the boardroom, behind the parents' back, conversations and discussions and opinions. And when you sit there for 2 years and listen to people giving those opinions, conversations, and discussions, sometimes after a parent had something to complain about, and they go behind closed doors and laugh or mock the statements that were made in the public communications. Now I'm really, I'm on that edge there. I'm trying to not go over that edge. You know, this isn't surprising. I guess that's really the way to put it. It's not surprising. It is not surprising whatsoever that the parents are not respected. The same way in Norco that the superintendent pretty much said that the parents that were there in large numbers of people, that they didn't know what they were talking about because he's a doctor and he has an education and they don't have an education, so they're dumb. So that's what it is. It's, unfortunately, it is another point of contention between people in the community. It's going to lead to more tension, more polarization. I feel so bad for the mother who has to now go through this. I hope she sues them, and I hope she wins. And I feel bad for the kid who was believably so manipulated by these teachers because they found a target to push their agenda on, to push their beliefs on, because kids are easily moldable, they are easily manipulated. If you tell your kid Santa's real, they will believe it despite any evidence that suggests that he is not real. Until you tell the kid that he wasn't, that it was a illusion, that it was a way to make their childhood better. That's the parent's right to do that. And it is not in any way, shape, or form the science, math, English, whatever teacher's right to put an illusion on a student or to break an illusion on a student on any topic that goes outside the barriers of the subject that they are sitting in that classroom to learn about. Math, science, English, whatever. Spreckles Unified School District. Whoever those teachers are, I don't even want to say their names because I'll probably vomit thinking about it. Absolute failure on every level. On every level, and I feel bad for the mother. I really do. And then they made her sit down and got the security guard to push her away.
Next.
And then they bring this lady up. Another, I believe, mafioso from the
Just want to remind
Teachers
folks,
Union.
freedom of speech is sacrosanct, no matter what they have to say. We're going to continue with Lisa Cisneros, followed by Mark Gomez.
Hello, I am Lisa Cisneros, and I'm a Spreckles School alum, 8th grade class of 1993. Go Pirates! I even remember winning a basketball championship in the...
Okay, I'm sorry. Of all the things to say in such a heated place, with such tension, and where every word that's stated in the short amount of time that you have to talk is important, you really had to say, "Go Pirates"? Really? In the middle of all of that? That's what you really had to start with. Unfreaking real.
this gymnasium. I'm also a parent and a person who holds dear this community where my mother still lives, and I'm deeply concerned about the turmoil threatening to overtake this special community and a special important student club, the UBU Club. The district and our community must not react rashly to a fear-mongering, divisive online article.
Fear-mongering, divisive. Buzzwords, everybody. Don't you love a good buzzword?
A blog post. A close examination of all the relevant facts is needed before a student club and teaching careers are tossed by the wayside. There have always been gay and transgender kids in this community. Plenty of us LGBT kids grew up in Spreckles and off of River Road. A CTA conference and a teacher has nothing to do with that reality. Clubs like UBU provide a safe space for...
See that? What the teacher said has nothing to do with the situation. Of course they're going to say that, because they're a teachers' union. They will defend their own. She is up there to promote the same agenda as the rest of the teachers that went up there. There's really no room for free thought when it comes to the teachers, especially not in this district, it seems. I hope I'm wrong.
For kids who are feeling different and want to know that they are not alone. These clubs are also spaces for students who want to show their support for LGBT classmates or LGBT family members. One day in the future, my kids might wish to join a group like UBU. My oldest child has complained about having to explain to her classmates repeatedly that she has two mothers rather than a father. I appreciate the support of a school.
Oh, so it's personal.
And trusted teachers who share the existence of LGBT families and provide the respectful vocabulary for families to be recognized and included as part of the school community. My child and others like her will learn better and thrive when her family isn't treated like a taboo topic or strictly treated like a mental health issue. This is a school environment issue as well. We know that there are LGBT parents in this district. Many of us recognize that we were different in middle school, even if we did not feel safe to discuss it with the world. Kids have crushes in middle school, and it isn't rocket science or a conspiracy that some kids understand their LGBT identity at that age. Our public schools are responsible for teaching all students, providing a safe and supportive learning environment, just as they are responsible for keeping parents informed and abiding their rights and the rights of educators as they exist under current law. I urge the superintendent and the trustees to act on behalf of our students with the utmost attention to a careful analysis of the facts, including the needs of LGBT kids and LGBT families. Thank you.
You know, I don't want to sound rude. I really don't when I say this. I really don't when I say this. I'm going to repeat that. I don't want to sound rude. But I'm just going to be frank. Not everything is about you. Why do you feel that it is always about you? It's not always about you. I'm not being anti-anything when I say that, but it's not always about you. And in this case, it really isn't about you. It's not about your club. It's not about the students. It's not about you as a parent and your wife or your husband or whoever your kid likes or doesn't like. It's not about that. It's about the teachers taking into their own hands a matter that was reserved for the parent to do. That's all it's about. All of this talk is for nothing, because realistically speaking, they're just there to filibuster and promote their club despite it being temporarily restricted, and promote the teacher despite apparently temporarily being suspended. Rightfully so. When a police officer is under investigation, they are suspended. When an administrator is under investigation, they are temporarily suspended. What's the problem here? What if a crime was committed? What if? What if a crime was committed? They don't need to be suspended. They just keep doing what they do until they finally get taken, you know? Doesn't make any sense. They're there to cry and scream and shout that it's about what they look like or who they like or who they don't like. It's not. It really isn't. You know why? Because I really could care less who you like or don't like. I could care less. It's not something that I get upset about. It's not something that I get concerned about. But when you have to go up there and always make it about an attack on you, even when it's not true. A lot of the parents that went up there stated it. They said it is not about the existence of the club. But they don't care. They don't want to hear that part. They ignore that part because it's easier to be a victim all the time. And I'm sorry, but that's just how they act. And when I say they, I'm referring to the people in this room that decided to go up there and speak, supporting the teachers and what they did. That's just what it is. They don't want to listen to this story. They would be better off acting like the victims because that's how you get your agenda across. God forbid we go up there and talk like normal people, civilized, and not make it about an attack, and not make it about a targeted group. There is no targeted group in this situation. There isn't. It's not about what color flag you have. It's not about what color skin you have. It's not about what you like, who you don't like, what your pronouns are or aren't. No one is asking you about that. That's not the issue at all. The issue is exactly what we saw. It's this. This is the issue right here. 2 teachers at a California school reportedly coached a 12-year-old into a trans identity behind her parents' back. That's the issue. An issue that they would rather ignore and shove under the rug because they know that they're wrong. And there's nothing that they can say in their power to prove otherwise. So, hopefully by the next board meeting there would be more information on this. There's already almost 70,000 people that have seen this clip. I'm sure it's going to get bigger as time goes on. Can't say that I really blame anyone for being upset. If that was my kid, I don't know what I'd do. Really ask yourself that question. If that was your kid, what would you do? In fact, answer that question in the comments down below. If that was your kid that this happened to, that your kid was coerced by the teachers to believe that they are not what you thought that they were, or not what they thought that they were, how would you react? Let me know. It is now 2 a.m. I am going to sign off. And, remember, as always, it's all subjective. Stay safe, stay awake, and have a great rest of your day, night, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever and whatever you may be doing. Until next time.